Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your WWE Hell in a Cell 2016 live review. You know what, John? I'm not even going to add anything to that. I'm just going to let you take it from here.
Yeah, this was Hell in a Cell 2016, and I gotta be honest, guys, there maybe was one, maybe two good matches on this show, but even that, like, when I say good, I mean just, like, it wasn't even anything stellar there either. This pay-per-view, I wanted to like it, man. I know some people may not believe that. They may say, oh, you went in, closed mind or this and that, but I really, looking at the card on paper, I wanted to like it. I wanted it to be one of those shows where the build was terrible, because I feel like the build was terrible to this show. But at least on its own merits, when the night arrived, it delivered. SmackDown is kicking your ass right now, Raw. Like, Clash of Champions was lukewarm. I feel like this was worse than that, but I have to go back and watch Clash of Champions, and I'm not that masochistic. Whereas SmackDown, like, yeah, No Mercy had its flubs, but at least they had that phenomenal triple threat, and I think maybe like one or two other good matches. And I'm already looking forward to the next SmackDown-based pay-per-view, because I know we still got to do Survivor Series, which, I don't really know. But yeah, I mean, SmackDown just continues without even having to do anything, without even having to lift a finger, continues to prove itself to be the better show, because Raw is literally defeating itself. This show was so sad. I am so glad it's over. Partner, what did you think of it?
Every single championship match that didn't involve Roman Reigns winning clean had a screwy finish.
Yeah. It is just so freaking crazy to me. Like, the tag title situation, what the hell was that? And I hate it too, because, like, they're going to use that to keep those two together. They're probably going to be one of the tag teams on the Raw Survivor Series tag team match, elimination match, which just makes no sense to me. Sasha, Charlotte, I'm sure you and I have plenty to say about that. I'm not even going to touch that in the preliminary remarks. God, yeah, Sami Zayn wasn't even on this show, and I know people were speculating, are Sami Zayn and Braun going to have a match? I wish they would have, because Sami Zayn is just, again, continues to be directionless, and when he does have direction, they don't put their foot on the gas. Cruiserweight Championship was all right, but I mean, yeah, like you said, a little bit of a screwy finish, questionable tactics. Just like, man, I don't even really know the words for this show.
Just I'll tell you what, here we go, John, because my thing, I don't have a problem with a screwy finish. What I have a problem with is every match ending in a screwy finish. And I feel like the screwy finish that was warranted was Kendrick Perkins.
Yeah, and I will agree with you there wholeheartedly. I think it fit in perfectly with the story. Kendrick's been telling everybody who will listen, this is my last chance. I'm 37 years old. He even went as far as to plead with the Cruiserweight champion to let him win. So him using tactics like that is nowhere near out of reach at all with how they've built this, which I'll give him credit for. But Sheamus and Cesaro and the New Day, where the hell did that come from? What other match? Let's see. Well, I mean, yeah, Rollins and Owens. God, I almost want to rant about that match. You know what? I think I will, so I'll wait till we get to that match. You just want to get right into the show. What match do you want to start with?
Before we get into the show, I want to point out they called this card a triple main event, right?
Right.
And first of all, there's no such thing as a triple main event unless they're all happening at the same time to end the show. There's one main event, and that's the match that goes on last. So this show was technically main evented by the women. But what I really want to point out is that as far as in-ring time goes, the women got the least amount of time between the three so-called main events.
Wow,
Roman Rusev got 24 and a half minutes. Owens Rollins got 23 minutes, and the women got under 20. They were at 1950.
So Roman was still kind of the de facto main event because he got the most time.
Of course. Dude, I know I said it in a really sarcastic tone, but there was a degree of honesty when I said WWE is going to start to use the first match of the night as the new actual main event, because we got Styles, Ambrose, Cena opening the last show, and now we've got Roman and Rusev opening this show. And I think you and I both know that that's the match that WWE sees as the real main event of this show.
Then what, like, I mean, you're not wrong, right? It's not that your logic is wrong. It's just what your logic means just kind of hits me in a way like, why pay for a fucking ticket? I should just shuffle out of the building after the opener anymore. Like that, there's no coherence to any of this. Oh my God, my head hurts. Oh my God. Raw just leaves me. I'm telling you, like, and I know. Really, the best part of this show, chat was amazing tonight. I mean, when you can have a spirited conversation about drug use and particularly about meth, like, yeah, great night with the Scum Squad, great night with the TWitWoW faithful. You guys are incredible, and again, especially true MVP Paul for putting up with all the game-changing references tonight. But yeah, the atmosphere that we were able to create got me through this show, because if I was watching this by myself, if there was no TWitWoW, no anything, dude, I think I would have checked out after the first match. I would have been like, I'll read a book or do something. Like, just, oh my God.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I don't know if you remember the exact order. Review and predictions video, I listed the matches in order of what I perceived to be their importance. Do you remember that?
Right.
And the matches that I had, the order that I had the matches in, right? Right. So I had Bayley Dana, then Enzo and Cass versus Anderson Gallows, then Perkins Kendrick, then New Day Cesaro Sheamus, then Reigns Rusev, Banks Charlotte, and Owens Rollins. That is the exact order of the matches from least amount of time to most time, except for the fact that the women even got less time than Roman Rusev, and they actually got the least amount, or yeah, Roman Rusev got the most time. So it's the exact order, but with Roman Rusev, instead of being in slot 5, being at the end, and then you knock the other two down. So apparently perceived it the same way, except obviously they overvalue Roman and Rusev, or specifically Roman.
Yeah, and that match was horrible. I mean, that match was so horrible, and
that wasn't even a Hell in a Cell match. That was a singles match that happened to be in a cell.
I'll tell you what it was to me. I mean, you had a great point. I'm not going to be able to top it, but I was going to say it was pretty much a no DQ match that used the cell as a garnish. It was a garnish on a fucking plate. Like, Jesus Christ. It physically hurts. All right,
you know what, dude? I think it's time for us to get into this.
Let's get into it.
Roman Rusev, as we talked about, and you were already kind of talking about it, so that's a great transition. And what exactly did you hate about this match, other than the fact that it didn't actually use its stipulation properly?
Well, I mean, that's really the biggest criticism. I mean, another thing, I felt like, and maybe this was just me projecting, and I can readily own up to that. Maybe a lot of my criticisms tonight, it would be, oh, John, you were seeing things, or you saw what you wanted to see. I felt like Roman never really struggled in this match. Now, I know, right? We always joke like, oh, it's Roman Reigns, of course. But I mean, seriously, you're in Hell in a Cell with a guy that looks like Rusev. Rusev, even though he's slimmed down and he's gotten like a freaking, God, what's mutton chops now? Sideburns. You know, like he still looks like an imposing dude that could kick your ass. And yet I feel like Roman Reigns never really lost control of this match, even for a second. And I was never really able to get emotionally invested. I think the thing with the babyface is when you're putting them against any threat, you should know they're going to get hurt. They're going to scratch. They're going to claw. They're going to struggle. But in the end, either it's going to be okay, or it may not be okay in the moment, but it's going to be okay at the end of the line. And that's what's so bad about Roman Reigns matches. It's nothing to do with him. I do think in ring, as far as putting moves together and that, like he does good stuff, especially when he has an even like better worker working with him. It's just, there's never any struggle with Roman Reigns. I never once really believed, oh man, does Rusev have this? Is Roman Reigns' championship reign in jeopardy? Which, by the way, that's really the most intriguing question to come out of this match, because I never even really focused on the U.S. championship. You know, it's funny. Like, it was never in the front of my mind, the U.S. title's on the line. I just looked at it more as Roman Reigns and Rusev are facing off for the millionth time. But before I blather on any further, I mean, what were some of your thoughts, man? Because, I mean, this was the opener. We had a really sarcastic tone in live reactions. But, I mean, what are your sincere thoughts about this, what these two guys did?
Yeah, this is probably the most fun match to watch for me, just because of, like you said, the ridiculous sarcasm that we laced it with our commentary. But at the end of the day, the match itself wasn't anything at all. I don't even want to say it wasn't anything special, because that would imply that it had the potential to be that, and it just didn't. It was boring. It felt like they were going through the motions, like they were just having
because
it was on the card and they had to do it. Like, whatever. there was no point in this match or the build to this match that I felt any kind of real fire from Roman. There was fire on Rusev's end, but he's the heel, so you're not supposed to be able to get behind him the way you should get behind a babyface. Whereas with Roman, he just had. It just seems like he didn't care about this feud at all. He didn't actually want to kill Rusev. He didn't actually, he didn't have any hatred towards Rusev. He was just kind of annoyed that Rusev was talking shit about his country and wanted to embarrass him a little bit. And Rusev, being a human being, took that personally and started being a little more aggressive in return. And I guess Roman just kind of put up with it and knows that he is a better fighter than Rusev. So when it comes to these big matches, he knows he can beat him. And he proved that again tonight because he beat him.
My last point I want to make on this match, because I really, it's amazing. Again, I think Chad and our live reactions and you and I just palling around all night is the only thing that gave me energy. But the last criticism I have to levy at this match, which has become textbook for Roman Reigns matches, one fucking spear. Now, I only say that, right, because Rusev, I should say, has been eating spears a lot in this feud. You think you'd build up a tolerance. And Roman Reigns withstood, I think, 2 accolades, but Rusev can't take 1 spear, right? And really, that's another thing. How is this supposed to be hatred? How is this supposed to be a blood feud? Like I have to destroy this guy if you can't take his best shot even once. Like, yeah. I don't understand it. This was bad. I personally was bored by this. What made this match entertaining was our sarcasm the entire time to me. I thought it was slow. I thought it was sluggish. I never believed in Reigns. I thought you had a great point about them going through the motions. I felt no life in this match. This brought down Rusev to me, not in terms of like how much I like him, but I mean, he put his back into this feud. I feel like he's going to be given shit for it. Because we already have a heel as a Universal Champion, but we'll get to that. Yeah, I don't think this did anything for anybody. What, Roman Reigns wins? That's not a new concept, God, this was such a waste. And now, really, I'm going to ask you something to end my portion of the review of this match. Who do you think is going to end Reigns' reign? God, I hate that I had to say it like that. And when do you think it's going to end? Because
who do I think is going to end Roman's reign?
Oh, God. You know what? You actually did make it better. +5. But yeah, because I know there were people, I've been seeing people speculating, like, when is he, with how fucking OP he is, going to drop the title, and who's he going to drop it to? So I want to know your thoughts on that. You think
Miz is going to jump ship, and he's going to cheat to beat Roman?
You know what? I would laugh.
Not really going to care that much, so he's going to go straight to the Universal title after losing the title.
God, you know what? Maybe everything except the Miz. I don't know if I can 100% commit to that, but as far as Roman's attitude, you're spot on with that. Oh my God, yes. Like, he's not going to care. He's going to be like, it's irrelevant. And then just move on to the Universal Championship. So, yeah, that's my review of this. This was a stinker. And I've said in the past, that I think the opener is so important because it sets the tone for the show. And guess what? This match actually did set the tone for the show, but it still sucked. So, yeah, did not care for this.
So then we got Bayley versus Dana Brooke. Bayley won because, I mean, even if we want to talk 50-50 booking or whatever, at the end of the day, it made the most sense for Bayley to win this. There's no reason, no way that Dana Brooke should have ever gotten a win over Bayley in the first place, even if she was supposed to get her feet up on the ropes and managed to even botch doing that. But they did sort of make up for it by having Bayley win the more important match, and now I'm guessing Bayley is going to be Charlotte's next challenger for the title.
Yeah, I mean, it all makes sense to me. You know what? This match was nothing special, but I think it hit the points that it needed to for both women to move forward. Now Dana can start running league with Charlotte again. Bayley will probably be gunning for Charlotte, which keeps Dana and Bayley in the mix if they want to touch on that more in the future, although I don't know why they would. This seems like Bayley definitively won the feud. So nothing really stand out, but it checked the boxes that I think it needed to, and that's really all I can say about it.
How can you say Bayley won the feud when Dana won the arm wrestling match?
You're so right. I mean, that was clearly more important than the match that took place on the pay-per-view. Easily. So, yeah.
Seriously. Duh.
Yeah. Duh.
So then we had Gallows and Anderson versus Enzo and Big Cass. And this was a complete dud of a match, in my opinion. Nothing interesting happened. and Anderson pinned, I believe, Enzo.
Yeah, you're right. And again, the biggest tragedy with Raw, and you're going to be hearing me say this a lot, spoilers in the Universal Championship match, when matches have guys that I care about, because I do care about Enzo and Cass, and I do care about Gallows and Anderson, more so the New Japan versions of Gallows and Anderson that I'm trying so desperately to cling on to. This 50-50, does WWE know? Well, no, of course they don't know. Otherwise, I would hope that they would change their behavior. You don't need to 50-50 book everything. It's okay for somebody to look better than another person. This type of booking, Ashton, reminds me of your biggest criticism when we watch stuff together like The Voice or stuff like that. If everybody's exceptional, no one is. If everybody's even, how does anybody come out ahead of the pack? Because really, the only way the head of the pack is when they brandish titles either over their shoulders or around their waist. That's it. It's like champions and then everybody else scrambling at the bottom of the barrel. There is no hierarchy. And that's the problem here. Despite the fact that Enzo and Cass lost this match, which might have more weight because it was a tag team match and not necessarily a singles match, it doesn't change the fact that I could easily conceive tomorrow night on Halloween Raw there being a rematch and Enzo and Cass win that. Because this just seems like a match that would be replayed on Raw. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's this, and I could see Dana Bayley happening again on Raw with Bayley winning again to solidify that she won the feud, and then Dana doing like a beatdown or something, or I don't know. Well, something like that. They might even have like Bayley come out to challenge Charlotte, and then she has to beat Dana again. And then Dana beats her down, and Charlotte cuts a promo on her talking about how you're never going to get this title.
Right. I can totally see it. Like everything you just said, that's a Raw segment come to life tomorrow. Guaranteed. It just, there is no passion for creativity or possibility. You could have made these guys monsters. And I really wish the New Day, who I also love, I mean, that's not a denigration of them, but once they interacted with the New Day, it was like they were done. And yeah, they won tonight, but I don't care about their win. And that's a problem. See, that's what SmackDown does so well, and I'm going to use, because I know he's in the chat, I'm going to use Lee's favorite. AJ has been so dominant and so shrewd this past Tuesday on SmackDown, using James Ellsworth so that Dean Ambrose could lose. That makes you care about whoever is able to challenge AJ, because this is a guy that knows how to hang on to his shit and knows how to win. I mean, he even says himself, winners always find a way to win. Well, AJ's probably the best written winner in the company right now. Like Anderson and Gallows, yeah, they got this win, but what does it matter? How are they going to build on this? How are they going to use this to their benefit? They win, but it doesn't matter because Enzo and Cass, I'd still say, are on equal footing with them, which they shouldn't be after a loss, but that's just how topsy-turvy the fucking booking is. So this match was, I really couldn't care, which is really becoming problematic with guys that I like, but that's Raw's booking for you, and here we are. So there you go.
Yeah, and of course, the Sunday night game is going into overtime because every game goes into overtime these days. All right. Up next, our next match was actually the Universal title match, Owens versus Rollins. The most important championship on your show lands in the middle of your show.
And, bro, I think I'm going to rant about this match, but before I do, I really want you to get your thoughts out because I know how domineering I can be when I rant. So what did you think about this one?
Well, I didn't hate – this was, in my opinion, this was pretty much by far the best match on this card. This was pretty much the only match that had good psychology and a finish that made sense at the same time and that I didn't hate. But that being said, I still don't think this was a really great match. It wasn't horrible like some of the other matches on this card. It wasn't illogical like some of the other matches on this card, but it wasn't great either. I think that the double table spot with Rollins powerbombing Owens through two tables was really cool.
Yeah.
I loved the fire extinguisher spot, but I hated that it led to Jericho coming into the cage because as soon as you introduce an element like that, you're saying that the results of this match don't matter. Because if the champion retains, then the challenger gets another shot because the champion cheated. And if the challenger wins the title, then it completely makes the former champion look like a complete joke. So And really, that's a super rare occasion that'll only happen with guys like Cena and Roman and the Chosen Boys. So really, what happens more often than not is 2-on-1 gets the upper hand and wins, and then it doesn't matter anyway because the challenger ends up getting another shot because they cheated. That's what I foresee happening here. I think these guys are going to have to find a way to coexist in their singles men's 5-on-5 Survivor Series traditional elimination style match at Survivor Series, and it's probably not going to go over super well, but then they're going to end up having another singles title match at Roadblock, and this match was going to be all for naught.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said, both positive and negative about this match. Where I want to rant, again, maybe I am too salty. Maybe this is a John problem and not a Raw problem, but I feel like the writing is so bad. You know I love Kevin Owens. You more than anyone know I love Kevin Owens. This reign to me has no teeth. Chris Jericho is the best thing about his title reign right now. I don't understand why, when you're as vicious as Kevin Owens, do you retreat? Do you have those cowardly tendencies? This is the problem when the authority gets involved, because then it's always, oh, either we're going to put you through the ringer because you have to consistently prove your worth. I mean, why did we even choose you in the first place? We don't fucking know. And they always seem like they've got to be protected. And in Owens' case, it is Jericho. Jericho was very heavily involved tonight in ways that I almost couldn't believe, and I'll get to that in a second. Like Kevin Owens, when he was NXT champion and he was powerbombing people on the ring apron and legitimately taking them out, that was great. I was even telling Lee on Twitter, we had a very spirited conversation, and I told Lee straight up, I loved Kevin Owens more as Intercontinental Champion, because when he would cut his promos, he was obsessed with being IC champion. And I would love when he'd take everybody out and he'd take that belt in his teeth and he'd spit it out and he's like fired up because he knows he's the best motherfucker in that ring. Kevin Owens does not feel like the best motherfucker in that ring, which I get to a point, right? He's a heel. I think he's always supposed to look weaker to a certain extent from the babyface that he's standing across from. But good fucking Lord, like, this was ridiculous. Oh, Rollins devotes what feels like a good 3 to 5 minutes just to beat down Jericho, because Jericho's been such a nuisance from both Clash of Champions, all the build up to Hell in a Cell, and now at Hell in a Cell. Really devotes all this time.
I mean, not only that, but there was actually a point during the beatdown that we were like, oh man, that ought to put Jericho off for a while. And then he picked him back up and threw him into the cage again.
Yeah, so like you think, oh, he just extended his time by at least a good 2 minutes or however long, whatever. Jericho seemingly pops right back up. He couldn't have been out more than a minute.
I'd say within 2 minutes, since you used that numeric number already.
Yeah, and that to me is like, I love everybody in this, but it's just such a fucking shit fest. Like, it's taking me out of it. And these guys did some cool stuff. I mean, they utilized the cell more than the opener. I felt for Rollins. I feel like they focused more on his ribs, or wanted to re-injure his ribs in the back that was more freshly injured because of the apron powerbomb. Sorry.
No, dude, you're right. You're 100% right. That's the thing. The apron powerbomb historically is a big deal. The first time he ever did it, it took Sami Zayn out for, I think, 2 or 3 months. The second time he did it, it took Neville out for, I think, a month and a half. So that's a game changer. And yeah, I said it again. Yeah, it's legitimately, though, it's a big deal, and they just treated it like it was nothing in this match.
And that's the fuck. And see, then because like I told Lee too, I'm like, I hope when the Jericho Owens blow up happens, that then Owens can really stand on his own merits. But I'm scared that he won't be able to because of this fucking writing. Where is the fucking killer? This guy, with how he brags about all he's done since he's come here, which is great heel material. That's not a put down. But like, you'd think being Universal Champion is everything. Like, I will kill you in front of your family before you take away what I use to provide for mine. And I know it sounds like a very babyface sentiment, but KO is such a dick. He could make it seem like, wow, you're a real piece of shit, dude. I feel bad for your kids. And it's nothing. To me, it is the saddest fucking day when you're as brilliant as Kevin Owens. And yes, I'm standing by. That man is fucking brilliant, as is Seth Rollins. But because the creative direction is so bad and how this feud was written is so bad. Chris Jericho might as well be Universal Champion because he's carrying this reign, and a lot of people have just really gone all the way and said he's carrying Raw. He's been the best part about all of this, and yet we didn't have a triple threat. It was another one-on-one match, but it might as well have been a triple threat for how involved Jericho was. Like, it was a good match, yes, relative to other stuff on this card, but in a vacuum, I'm sorry. I felt like Clash of Champions, their prior match was actually better than this because at least with Clash of Champions, they had a more organic story of, oh man, Kevin Owens really fucked up Rollins' ribs and Jericho's interfering. That's a lot to overcome. Here, yes, Seth had a lot to overcome, but he should have effectively neutralized the threat. When it was shown that he didn't, it took me out of it.
Well, and not only
Kevin
that,
Owens,
but
yeah.
you say he should have had a lot more to overcome, and you're right, he should have, but he didn't even act like it. He didn't sell anything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, wasn't there a point where he did like a tope suicida and his own head like hit the steel? And yeah,
I think he actually did multiple. I think he did 2 of those actually in a row, like Jay Lethal style.
And you know, David Miller just saying in the chat that Kevin Owens is just filler until Balor's return. And he's probably right, but still, like, give a shit. If he is just filler, at least make it quality filler. Don't be some like fucking B- anime and do all the crappy filler until the next worthwhile arc comes along.
To be fair, Devon, I think everything on Monday Night Raw is filler until the end of football season.
Yeah. Why do you think we choose this period to go on hiatus from formal Raw reviews? Yeah. Because, I mean, shows like this, I mean, dude, I'm not going to lie to you. After a show like this, if we had to cover all the Raws preceding it, Jesus, like I'm looking at my window right now affectionately. Like, SmackDown is just slaughtering you guys. The WWE Championship picture is infinitely more interesting to me. And I know some people are ambivalent towards Ellsworth. I think they're using him brilliantly because now Ambrose got burned by him when he was trying to make him a joke at AJ's expense. I think that's quality writing. Where's the quality writing in this storyline? So Rollins gets screwed again in a match that was made this way because we were going to ensure, oh, no interference. But, oh, wait, we had a gag with an extinguisher, so Jericho found his back door. It's just pointless to me.
Actually, not even the back door. It was literally just the front door.
Yeah, it was literally the front door. It's like, to me, I hate to get all nihilist memes on everybody, but this show really proved to me like everything is meaningless. Everything is meaningless and there is no purpose. So yeah, Owens retains.
Yeah, Owens retains thanks to Jericho a lot. And our next match was Kendrick Perkins, which, you know, if it got a little bit more time, this would have been my match of the night because this, in the time that it got, it felt better than the whole of Owens Rollins, but it was only 10.5 minutes. Like, I feel like you could have given it like maybe it would have been better.
Yeah, especially considering that this is your only title change on your show. I feel like you could have,
especially considering that the match that went on last ended up going to like 11:20 anyway. Why not just go all the way with it and go to 11:30? Who cares?
Exactly. And really,
if you're gonna run over time, there is no limitation. Like, you're on your own network, just go all the way with it.
And I will say this too, because I'm assuming we also had our own criticisms, but I know a lot of like independent reviewers and people that I've seen, you know, in my part of social media, some people were critical of the story, particularly the go home segment with Kendrick begging for TJ to let him win. But I personally thought that this was the strongest story that Raw had. The division that you're not even really handling properly had probably the best story on this card.
It's kind of similar to earlier on in the year when I was talking about how, even though she's not a particularly good performer, Charlotte was easily the best written character on Raw. Now, even though it's not a particularly interesting division, the cruiserweights are the best written on Raw.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm excited for a Kendrick title reign. We know TJP is going to get his rematch, but you have to imagine because Swan pinned Kendrick on the go-home show, Swan's now #1 contender.
Yeah. Dude? I'm guessing that the Kendrick Perkins rematch will be at Survivor Series because I highly doubt that Raw will want any cruiserweights representing their singles men.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with you there. Definitely. again, I think the future is a little bit brighter for the Cruiserweight division because Kendrick's just been so good, in this heel role, with his desperation and stuff like that and just doing like anything to get what he wants. He's now Cruiserweight champion. I feel like Swan, this could be a good opportunity for him. I wish this feud was on SmackDown because then I could actually believe that Swan would get talking segments and development like throughout the show. Raw probably will give these guys very little talking, time with each other, which is a shame because Kendrick, I think, can cut a legitimate promo. And Swan, he can get the crowd behind him. I feel like, the crowd likes Swan, but they could like him so much more if he gets that dimension and he really infuses himself into this feud and people get to latch on to him and make it personal. Yeah. So I want to believe in these guys because I love both of them. And obviously I've got personal ties with Swan. But with Raw's writing, I'm not really holding my breath. But, I mean, I am glad that Kendrick's champion. I will say that much. I feel like TJ Perkins was really doing nothing for me. I like him as a person. I'm sure he's like a hard worker and he loves his craft. But I just feel like it wasn't for him. He'll probably be Cruiserweight champion again down the road. Let's hope those reigns were better than this one. But I'm really glad we got a title change here.
Yeah. Kendrick needed to win this title. The way that he did win it worked for his character. This was easily the best championship match finish of the night, even though it was a screwy finish, just because it protected Perkins. It didn't make him really lose credibility. It just kind of made him look a little bit more on the naive side, really emphasized Kendrick's vet savviness, and Kendrick picks up the win, which is the result that needed to happen, a month ago.
Exactly. I completely agree with you. They may have been a little late on pulling the trigger, but the trigger did get pulled. Kendrick is the new Cruiserweight champion. And again, I'm really hoping that it's one of those cases. I think I wish I could remember who said it in live reactions chat, but I actually do agree with their ideal scenario. Kendrick holds that belt till Mania and he drops it to Cedric at WrestleMania. Because I think babyfaces like Cedric are what WrestleMania is all about. So I could totally get into that story if that's what they want to do. But we'll see.
Yeah. I was gonna say Cedric or Swan. It's you've got more than one option, but Cedric is definitely up there.
Definitely.
If that kind of thing would happen in the context of NXT, I'd say Cedric for sure.
Right.
But Cedric isn't necessarily as over on the main roster as he would be in Full Sail.
Which is a shame. Like, they really should have kept, because he had the best moment at the CWC with the please sign Cedric and all that stuff. They really should have capitalized on that. And I feel like they didn't. But again,
capitalizing on things, that's not WWE's way.
What the
find
fuck
things that should be capitalized on, and then they put out the fire as quickly as possible.
Exactly. Duh. So what match is next, bro?
Tag titles: Cesaro and Sheamus versus the New Day, which literally meant nothing because it got thrown out because Sheamus hit Big E with Francesca 2, and then Kofi did a Trouble in Paradise on Sheamus, and that got caught. So the New Day got disqualified, and Cesaro and Sheamus won by DQ, and the title didn't change hands. And this match is happening again, either on an episode of Raw or at Roadblock.
Yeah, I hate that they're keeping these two together. You guys already know that. Like, is the team awful? No, they've actually been able to do some good stuff together. I just hate why this team came together and the real idea behind it, which really is we've got nothing better for either of these guys, which I think is a fucking crime. But I really can't say anything substantive about this match because this is about the time that we all had that really spirited discussion about meth. So I really wasn't paying that much attention, if I'm being completely honest. But I did see the finish, which I thought was a crock. And I get, what, to be fair, I will give this match one thing, because at first I was a bit perplexed with how game they were making Cesaro and Sheamus look against the tag champs, but then again, they beat the tag team champions on the Go Home Raw, so they had to look competent, they had to look like they could do it again. So I guess I can't hold that against this match, but damn, like, if New Day struggles that much, they don't deserve to break any record. Not that records in WWE actually matter, but you get my point. But now we're just going to drag this on until at least Roadblock. And that just makes me all kinds of sad. So New Day are still your WWE Tag Team Champions. Hip thrusts not included. So there you go.
Yeah. And then we get to the main event, Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. And for some reason, for the first 15 minutes of this match, I thought I was rewatching Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins from Hell in a Cell, I think last year, because they did the exact same setup where one of them got put through a freaking table. And actually, it wasn't last year, it was the year before that. It was 2014 that happened, where they got put through a table and then they got, they were all broken down and beaten up, and then they had to get stretchered out, and then they fought their way out of the stretcher and got back into the ring and fought the match like a normal Hell in a Cell match. So, John, take over.
Yeah, brother, let me just say this. I'm going to be blunt with everybody, and I'm going to be direct. And I'm sorry if like live reactions or this subsequent review has really made anybody's mood take a nosedive, but I can't lie. When I don't enjoy something, I can't lie. And I got to be honest, this main event, I could sum it up in 3 words. They blew it. They fucking blew it. Like, this match to me had no teeth going into it. I actually found, really looking back, and now that it's all done, I found this whole thing offensive. Because, look, let me spell it out for everybody that still may not get it. Women are not snowflakes. Women are not special in the sense that they're these magical creatures. Yes, women endure a lot, and there's still a long way to go for female equality. I'm not saying that. Please don't conflate my statements. But why make the biggest fucking deal? The first start of equality? By not batting an eye when something that's happening with a woman in a good way happens to men all the time. But no, you have to jerk yourself. History. Yeah, your fucking vinegar strokes all over your history-making fucking match. And it's, oh my God, where was the fucking tea? I said the same thing about Rollins Owens. I never sensed that these women hated each other. And Ashton had the fucking soundbite in live reactions, because the most emotion we got from these two, in my mind, in this whole fucking thing, was when the cage was lowering and you could see in their faces, oh shit, we're locked in now. This is happening. And Ashton even said, I hate that they're more afraid of the cage than each other, because in Hell in a Cell, you should be like afraid. You should be like pumped up because you're facing the person you hate. You're facing the person that this is the only match where we can settle this shit, and I'm going to use every part of this cell to mutilate you and put our rivalry to bed. Never.
Yeah, that's at least one thing that Rollins Ambrose had going for it that this match doesn't.
Yeah. And dude, let's fucking talk about the worst part of this match, and that's really how it started. Here's the thing. If you want to create dramatic tension, I get that. It's Sasha's hometown. She's the babyface. She's the champion. Charlotte has the pay-per-view streak, so at least you've got, and I will give them credit for this, at least you've got, and you can legitimately say, Charlotte performs her best when the stakes are at their highest, so Sasha has to be extra cautious. You've got a great table set, but fuck, do you know how to beat a horse? Because I'll tell you, it was a standard fucking power bomb. It wasn't off the cell. They didn't fall off the cell. It was just your typical power bomb through an announce table, a spot that we see men take semi-regularly. But because Sasha took it, it's like she lost her smile. And then, because here's the thing. You guys, if you've listened to us long enough, you know the one thing I get on WWE's asses about when they break up the flow of matches. And I'll even admit, maybe sometimes I am a bit too critical, because I know sometimes with the blood, like, they've got to do it. It's a health thing, and I can respect that. I will. That's on me. That's on me being too much of a mark and just being like, they got to kill each other all the time. This, I make no apologies this time, because there was no blood, there was none of that crap, and clearly it was a work, because Sasha was punching out medical personnel to get back into the cell. Like 10 minutes too late, sweetheart, because you used that fucking word so many times between the two of you. Like, Jesus, people. Like, you dragged it out. If how I would have done it, because I was begging for it to be done this way in live reactions, Charlotte does the powerbomb. Maybe you check on her momentarily to create that air of, oh man, Sasha's in deep shit. I mean, remember SummerSlam with the back, and now the back's been re-aggravated. Great. But then you have Charlotte immediately go back on the attack. But every time
I was gonna say, yeah, like you do the powerbomb spot. The referee checks on her to make sure that she can continue. He realizes that she's in pain, but she can still continue. Charlotte grabs her, drags her over to the door, puts her in the ring, and tries to pin her. And Sasha kicks out, and suddenly your babyface underdog story can begin from there.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, I don't Charlotte for once, because I can't even blame Charlotte for this. I feel like she wanted to be a quality heel. Oh, now I sense blood. I smell blood. I'm gonna pounce on it. The refs. Oh my God. You know what my fucking low shot is? Those fucking refs. Because you shot these women in the foot. Whatever they were gonna build, just dead in the water. Oh, no. We got to check on her. No, we got to check on her. And then Sasha's walking like she's a freaking cripple now because of a standard powerbomb through a fucking table. Oh, I can't take it. My back. Oh, but then you find it in you when you're on the fucking stretcher, when we've done all the theatrics to get back in it. I'm sorry. Look, and I know maybe there were parts of the match where it got... Well, no, I was getting ready to say, like, because I know some people would be like, oh, but when they got inside the cell, things picked up again a little bit, and then we'll get to that in a second. But how you start something is so important for how it finishes. And I kind of laugh a little because we know how this finished, and we'll get to that. But man, dude, like, you've got to, and I know who I'm talking to. I know you agree with me, but you've got to set a tone. And this was so dragged out. Let me ask you honestly, because I've been like talking to death here. Did you care about this match at all after all that and they were locked inside the cell? Because I didn't.
Well, there was a point in the cell that it kind of did start to feel more interesting to me, and that was when I think it was Charlotte did some kind of a suplex or a slam to Sasha onto a setup chair.
Okay, and that's fair.
And that kind of hooked me in a little bit, and it kind of, you know, it's like it got my attention. Like, okay, you've successfully brought me back in, and I was kind of in it then. And then Sasha got, like, she kind of shoved Charlotte off of the top rope, and Charlotte kind of gently plopped herself on the table, but the leg gave out. So, like, you couldn't tell what was really supposed to happen there, whether Charlotte was supposed to be, like, gently lying on the table so Sasha could do a move off the turnbuckle, or if Charlotte was supposed to break the table. But either way, neither of those things actually happened. That kind of took me out of it. And then the finish completely destroyed this entire match for me.
Oh my, the finish was a fucking, because I think I know what they were going for. Like, Charlotte was going to violently toss Sasha into the table in the corner, break it, and then hit a natural selection for good measure.
You know, if it doesn't work the first time, do a freaking hip toss, please.
Exactly. See, and this is why.
Is the easiest move in wrestling to use to break a table with, other than like things where you're actually like, you know, lifting the person up and slamming them down. But she just threw her at the table. Even after the first time, it didn't work. Expecting, you know, Einstein, so, you know, insanity, doing the same thing a bunch of times, expecting different results. Yeah, congrats, Charlotte, you're insane. She just tossed her right at it again, thinking it would break it. Sasha is all of like 95 pounds, and she couldn't break the table. And then because she couldn't break the table, we've got to get in natural selection. So Charlotte defeats Sasha at a pay-per-view yet again. And my big problem with that, when a heel says something really dastardly like, oh, you can't beat me in this environment, and then they're right about it, that completely ruins the credibility of the babyface.
You're so right. That is such a great point that I didn't even bother to consider until now. Yeah, I mean, Sasha, I love her to death, but with what confidence, with what conviction can she go around now calling herself a boss? Because here's the thing.
Yeah, like apparently Sasha can only beat Charlotte on television. She can't beat her at a pay-per-view. She never has.
Exactly.
On the main roster.
And this, because of WWE jerking themselves off, is even worse because now Sasha's forever going to have to live with, I lost the first Hell in a Cell match that women were ever allowed to have, and Charlotte beat me.
The first ever women's main event of a pay-per-view in WWE.
That too! This was our fucking man. Oh my God, this was so bad. And now, dude, if you hated Charlotte's promos before, get ready, because she's never shutting the fuck up about this.
You know,
yeah. Like, this is it for her. This is it. Like, this is going to be the new Chris Jericho. I beat The Rock in Austin on the same night. Oh, my God. Why?
But the difference is at least Jericho is entertaining and can pull that off.
And you know what? PW Gregory with the soundbite of the night in chat. Babyfaces are supposed to be the ones that deliver promises, not the fucking heel, which is exactly what you said. Charlotte said, you can't beat me in this environment, and then she does it, which, how sad does that look for people that believe in the babyface? It's Sasha's hometown. Oh my God, this is our hometown hero, and she lost? Oh my God. And you know what? Just like the Ambrose Rollins.
Like WWE thought that the heel Charlotte winning the women's title was main event worthy.
Yeah, why would you close a pay-per-view on a low note? Unless, I mean, I guess
I even said, didn't I even say during preview and predictions, oh, so I guess they want to send the crowd home miserable? Well, congratulations. Yeah. You succeeded. Pricks.
Oh my God. Like, yeah, I mean, look, and let me be fair here for a second, because I was getting ready to say there is precedent for that, to close the show where the heel comes out on top, but I feel like this is a no-no for so many reasons. Like,
yeah, you can close the show with the heel coming out on top most of the time, but there are exceptions to that rule. And when it's a historic main event, first ever women's main event, first ever women's Hell in a Cell, and the babyface is in their hometown and going in as champion. That's like that number one on the list of rules as to when you can't send the crowd home miserable.
I can tell you guys this. Vince.
Number one on the list of when you can't send the crowd home miserable is when some kind of like national tragedy just happened.
Right.
Like 9/11, and then you have the heel win at the end of the show, you're a scumbag.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you completely. I mean, hell, I feel like WrestleMania is another one where you usually try and send the crowd home happy, which is also the case when Rollins cashed in, because they wanted Rollins because they hated Roman and Lesnar that year. But this, like, Vince probably had the biggest smile on his fucking face when his pants were around his ankles. He leaned over Boston and he just shit on them tonight. I go, here's your hero. Here's your champion. Charlotte is now, and this is a joke you and I made in live reactions, at the trajectory she's at. You said she was going to become a 16-time women's champion by the time she's 28. Oh, my.
No, I didn't say by the time she's 28. I said by 2018. She's already 30, dude. What are you talking about?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's my bad. By 2018, but still, though, the point stands.
Charlotte is like the oldest rookie ever.
And you had another great point as it relates to Charlotte. That Raw Women's Championship has been around like less than 7 months, and Charlotte's already had 3 runs with it. That's her title. You know, I remember everybody used to say the spinner WWE Championship, that was John Cena's belt. Well, I'm sorry. After tonight, how can I look at the Raw Women's Championship as anything other than Charlotte's belt? Everybody else only has it for borrowed time, which, I mean, technically, I guess is every reign, but you get my point. Like, oh my God.
She's averaging a new reign every 2.3-ish months.
That should terrify everyone. Like, what division is there? And by the way, to all the hopeful people, and I don't say this again as a denigrating point because I agreed with them. I wanted to believe that. Anybody that thought, oh, Sasha's going to win this really, brutal confrontation, but then Nia Jax is going to swoop in and pick the bones. Well, that angle will make no sense now because Charlotte's champion. So once again, we're going to revolve it around the same women, and it's going to be Bayley now. Maybe Bayley will win, and then maybe Nia Jax can cut in, but it's always going to come back to Charlotte. I'm convinced after tonight. That belt is always going to come back to Charlotte. Jesus. Do you have anything else you want to say about this? Because this was horrible. This was absolutely horrible.
Well, do you want to give it a grade? Search it, skip it, buy it?
You know what? Even though I liked Rollins Owens at best, this is a very weak search it just for that match alone. But my heart is telling me skip it.
I don't agree with that. This is not even just a skip it for me. This is such an emphatic skip it that I would actually encourage you to go out of your way to avoid this show. Yeah.
You know what? I got to tell you, bro, like that rating that I gave the week search it, that was being nice. What does my heart tell me? What do I really want to tell you people? Avoid this show like the fucking plague. Because again, and I will say it for the final time tonight, chat and live reactions itself as an activity was the best part of this show.
So
easily.
Is it safe to say that this was hands down the worst pay-per-view of 2016?
It might have been, dude. It might have been. This was bad.
Even Battleground, which was bad, but even Battleground was better than this.
Yeah. Because didn't Battleground at least have the Shield triple threat main event, which I know I wasn't super high on, but I mean, that was a fucking...
One of the big things that we were talking about going into it was like, you seriously, you're putting this on all things?
Yeah. I don't even fucking know. This show was awful,
like
guys.
You can't even.
I can't even. This show was straight up carcinogenic. Jesus. Raw, you need to get your shit together, because come Survivor Series, if I have to put up with your weak-ass show beating SmackDown and taking 3 more of their talents just so you could fuck them up too, like, I'm not going to be all, oh, I quit the product. Obviously, I'm not, but I will be so fucking pissed. Like, it'll be rant.
Oh my god, dude. Battleground was really bad, though. But at least it had Rusev beating Zack Ryder in 7 minutes for the US title.
Yeah, that too. That too. You know, I mean, yeah, for all of Battleground's faults, at least it had
Sasha's main roster debut, which we were against at the time, but it you know, as far as a standalone moment, it was strong.
Yeah, I mean, Bayley was well received that night, absolutely.
Yeah.
To me,
the Wyatt family beating the New Day.
Yeah, Wyatt family beating the New Day. I mean, this show to me had only one standout moment, and that was Kendrick's title win. And that's it. Like, and that wasn't even a Hell in a Cell match, and all you were talking about was how this was a triple main event with all those matches taking place inside the cell. The match that wasn't Hell in a Cell was better than the Hell in a Cell match. Oh, I give up. I give up. That's my review. This show sucked.
All right,
show sucked so fucking hard.
That being said, we're gonna end this before John has an aneurysm, and I'm really genuinely worried.
No. It would be a game-changing aneurysm. That's how bad this fucking show was. Oh my, kill me.
The Roman Reigns game changer meme is my new favorite thing.
Yes. And I can't wait. I can't wait to do this all over again for Survivor Series. Please, that is my cry for help. That is my cry for help. Fuck Raw so hard. Ugh.
All right. We'll see you guys on Wednesday for an actually good wrestling show, Lucha Underground. But until then, I guess all you really have left to do is to try really hard not to do any meth. Don't kill yourself, and try and not to suffer too much. And maybe avoid Raw tomorrow, because it's probably going to suck almost as much as this. So as far as this channel goes, though, Lucha Underground on Wednesday, always the best. Always going to be a nice oasis in the desert that is WWE television and pay-per-views. So we will see you for that. Make sure to stay tuned.